Welcome to another edition of the Official Jets podcast, powered by Amazon Web Services. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, here for the first episode of the offseason. We're not stopping here on the Official Jets pod. The Jets now looking for a new head coach. Adam Gase no longer the head coach of the New York Jets. General manager Joe Douglas spoke to the team, or spoke to the media, should I say, on Tuesday. CEO Christopher Johnson spoke to the media on Monday, and you really got the sense that this head coaching search is about to be in full swing over the next couple of weeks.
It certainly is. Happy New Year to all our listeners out there. Things move quickly in the National Football League. It seems like 7 months ago that the Jets had a 14-7 lead over the Patriots in Week 17 in that third quarter before going down to the Patriots 28-14. On Sunday night, Christopher Johnson informed Adam Gase that he would not be back in 2021. Then Christopher Johnson spoke to the media on Monday. Joe Douglas spoke to the media on Tuesday. And Douglas already has told reporters that they've put in multiple requests throughout the National Football League to speak to some coaches. So the search is on in earnest, because the National Football League right now, there are 6 head coaching vacancies. And Christopher Johnson said that it's going to be a deep search and broad, but time will be of the essence.
And as we're recording this Monday, or not Monday morning, it's Wednesday morning. The days are kind of meshing together for me right now, so that's my bad, but it's Wednesday morning.
That's not your bad. It's forgivable, man.
I thank you. I appreciate that. So the Jets have not officially interviewed any head coach. And when you look at the timeline, the coaches that, you see the reports out there who the Jets are looking to interview so far. A lot of them are coordinators, and a lot of them are going to coach this weekend in postseason play. And so for the Jets, they can't interview those guys until after their game this weekend. That could be as early as Sunday. But for someone like one name, for example, Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, because he has a bye week, the Jets can interview him this week. So we'll see what happens. And you mentioned a broad search. I just want to throw this out there that Joe Douglas said that the head coach that's to be named, the 20th head coach of the Green and White, does not need to have prior NFL head coaching experience. If it's a college coach that fits the criteria, that's great. And when Joe Douglas was talking about different qualities that he's looking for in a head coach, I mean, the words that came up: communication, leadership, vision for the team, and then the blueprint, how to achieve that vision, and really the identity. And I think that you got the sense, and he said this, is not going to be offensive, not going to be defensive. That would eliminate half of the pool, he said. So really, I think they're looking for the right guy. And I thought it was interesting that he said it's not like a power ranking of characteristics. It's a group of characteristics, almost kind of like how you'd approach the draft.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Kim Jones from NFL Network asked Christopher Johnson about, hey, are you, the New York Jets organization, looking for a CEO type? And Chris said, I don't love that term, but yes, they want a head coach to oversee the entire operation. And when you say wide net, they're not going to emphasize the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball, pro or college. Joe Douglas is approaching this with an open mind. He just wants the best candidate and the best partner. And he also said, hey, we're not making major decisions as far as the roster is concerned before we get a head coach in here, because I have to know his vision. And make no mistake about it, whether the Jets change their structure or not, Joe Douglas is the leading man in this search. Part of the interview committee, of course, will be Christopher Johnson and team president Jaime Elhai. Elhai, Christopher Johnson pointed to as far as he was a big part of the interview process before the Jets brought in Joe Douglas, and the Jets are really happy with Douglas. Christopher Johnson said that he is the GM that we have been searching for years. Now it is imperative for us to get the head coach right, and then we believe we have a very good future. And Joe Douglas knows that as well. And I like that he goes into this with an open mind, and it feels a lot differently than a couple years ago. We're not naming names here. The reason why I say that is because the Jets talked about somebody helping a young quarterback develop in Sam Darnold. Well, the narrative certainly has switched quite a bit in less than 2 calendar years.
And Joe Douglas, since day one, has always emphasized the culture. And I think that's what he's looking to bring, someone to further that culture. And the words that Joe Douglas said was bring the Jets back basically to being a playoff contender. And obviously, all 32 NFL teams want to compete for the Super Bowl. He wants to put the Jets back on the map, essentially. And I think after listening to Joe Douglas, I think that there is a real sense of hope. And I think that the fans, I could be wrong here, but I really do think that the fans trust Joe Douglas, even though he's been on the job for what, almost 2 years. How long? Like almost 2 years, you
Well,
think?
it was June, so it's like 18 months, to be honest with you. It's 2
Right.
seasons, but he's only had 1 draft class. So, when we look at the job he's done so far, oh, by the way, that's one of the enticing parts of this job, I think, if you're a head coaching candidate out there, is that the Jets have great draft capital, and they have a man who is so well respected in NFL circles, who seems like he got a lot of things right in his first draft class, most notably his first pick overall, Mekhi Becton. He could be the best tackle out of that 2020 class. And then Denzel Mims, we saw him flash in the second round. And there are other pieces in that class as well the Jets are very excited about. So if you're a head coach, my thing is what Joe Douglas and Christopher Johnson and Jaime Elhai are going to have to look at is who is a developer of talent, because Christopher Johnson was right when he said the Jets are a young team, but Ethan, they're about to get younger.
Yeah, they are. And the draft capital is huge. 2 first-round picks this year, 2 first-round picks next year, 2 third-round picks this year, 2 fifth-round picks this year. There is a lot of capital, and the Jets can really continue to build the core that they've already established. I mean, it even goes back, it predates Joe Douglas with Quinnen Williams. Then you think about his first draft class, and these reasons and the things that I'm saying, I think are reasons why I think the fans trust Joe Douglas. I mean, we knew that he came from a winning culture with the Baltimore Ravens and Ozzie Newsome, and then, of course, won a Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2017. And you just kind of get the sense that Joe's very calm. His first draft, by the way, as general manager in the NFL was a virtual draft, which no other general manager has dealt with before. And I think he handled it very well. And you think about the draft day moves, like trading back in the second round and still getting Mims. And then you traded back again in the end of the third round. Then you had the 3 fourth-round picks. I mean, there's a lot that we can get into as we'll get into it and review it between now and April's draft. But in terms of the head coach, I thought it was really interesting. Joe Douglas said that the last time he was involved in a coaching search was 2008, and he was on the outside because he was a scout with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens hired John Harbaugh, who's still the coach of the Baltimore Ravens. And Joe said that he called a couple people. He said, what did you do well in your process that you liked? What are some things that you wish you could do over? And then he said, I'm going to attack this like the only way I know how, which is like the draft, where you develop your criteria and then you just go about it that way. And if his history proves right, it seems like he's going to make the right hire. And I think that a lot of fans, I know I said this again, but I'm reiterating it because I'm curious your take. You think fans trust Joe Douglas? Because I get the sense that they really do.
Yeah, listen, and Joe is the first one to admit that, hey, every decision he has made hasn't hit, so to speak. And he looked at himself. I think that appeals to people where he took some ownership for what happened this year, too. He said, I have to supply better talent to whoever is the head coach ultimately. But he's one of the most well respected guys in the National Football League. He's been in it in 21 years. For 21 years, he has 3 Super Bowl rings. You mentioned Baltimore. That's so interesting because we go back. Who did they hire? Who did Ozzie Newsome hire? A special teams coordinator. So we talk about offense, defense. Well, let's include special teams in that. But the learning point there was a lot of guys can come out of nowhere. It doesn't have to necessarily be the hot name. It has to be the right guy for you in the entire organization. And I do agree with Joe. The other thing he said is we have a lot of good people here. Not only do we have the draft capital and the financial flexibility and some young players who on both sides of the ball who we think can be part of our core moving forward, but the Rex Hogans of the world, the Phil Savages, the Chad Alexanders, the Greg Nejmas, the list goes on and on. So the Jets like their structure in place. And I think when a lot of people get there and they have an opportunity to sit down, not only, well, virtually like we are right now, but have that opportunity to talk to Joe, Jaime Alhai, and Christopher Johnson, they're going to come away very impressed. And, uh, you know, we go back to it. Christopher said he and Woody are guys who are going to provide the resources people need to do their jobs.
Yeah, I think that this is an exciting time if you're a Jets fan because Joe is Joe Douglas. I think, like we said, I think fans believe in him. I do think he's going to get the head coaching hire right. And when in terms of this search, I don't think that we've seen maybe half the names, if not more, that have yet to be reported in terms of who the Jets will interview. I mean, the names that you've seen on Twitter and on social media that have been reported are Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. It was Patrick Graham, the Giants defensive coordinator, until he signed a multi-year extension with the Giants. Well, it was Tuesday night, and so he will not be looking for any head coaching gig. Then there are names like Brian Daboll, Arthur Smith, Matt Eberflus, the Colts defensive coordinator, and Brandon Staley. But I don't think that those names, I mean, I think what I'm trying to say is I think there are a lot of names that have yet to be reported.
Yeah, they're going to cast a wide net, and sometimes you kind of go under the radar, especially if you're looking at college people. That remains to be seen, and we'll find that out in the weeks ahead. And there are some connections there. That's the other thing you look at. You know, Dayball was a guy who worked here back in the day under Eric Mangini, Rex Hogan, and Eberflus. Obviously worked together with the Indianapolis Colts. So you look at connections, but again, Douglas just keeps an open mind. That's his approach on everything. So there are going to be guys here where there are no connections, direct connections, I should say, and they're going to come in and they will be very thorough in this process. One of the most critical decisions moving forward for this organization is long-term success. And Joe said it. He was open about this with the media, is that you got to get the head coach right. You have to get the quarterback right. So automatically the question becomes, okay, Joe, then what are you going to do with Sam Darnold? And I thought he handled that right. If you're Joe Douglas and you're going to be a partner with your head coach, you can't make that final conclusion on Sam Darnold right now. He was clear about it. He thinks he's going to be a very good player in the National Football League, but with that number 2 overall selection, you have to sit there and have these conversations during the interview process and get people's thoughts on Sam Darnold before you make a conclusion of where you're going to go and assemble a game plan moving forward.
Yeah, I think Joe has said this since, again, day one, that no decision is going to be made unilaterally, that it's always going to be a collaborative decision. Yep. And for someone that keeps on stressing partnership and collaboration, I think that you get the sense, and he said it just like you said, he's not going to make a decision on the quarterback's future without the head coach being in place. That head coach will have a big say, and not only that decision, but every major decision, which involves free agency, the draft, so on and so forth. And
I should say, I interrupted real quick. I liked that he came out and did say, Marcus May is one. I think the Jets have like 19 or 20 guys with expiring contracts, and one of them is team MVP Marcus May. And he meant so much to the team this year. And Joe said, hey, listen, that is one of our offseason priorities to get him signed.
Yeah, I think that was cool. And Jets fans are going to be happy to hear that. In terms of Sam and the quarterback situation, you can skin this cat 1,000 ways now. You can skin it 1,000 ways on draft day. But the fact of the matter is that no decision has been made. No decision will be made until the head coach is in the building, in place, and that discussions, and which are going to be many discussions, whether it's about Sam, evaluation of the quarterback class that's going to be in the 2021 draft. It's going to happen over time. But right now, there's no real update because the Jets don't have a head coach. And that's the priority for the organization, is filling that spot, making sure that is the right call. Actually, EA caught up with Joe Douglas one-on-one after Joe Douglas spoke to the media. So let's hear from Joe D.
Joe, you've won big in the National Football League. With that being said, how difficult was this past season?
Yeah, very difficult. I don't think anyone envisioned us starting the year 0-13 and finishing the year 2-14. But we'll say very, very proud of the way that this team stuck together, the way the locker room stuck together. They competed every day in practice. We're able to beat 2 playoff teams down the stretch and win 2 of our last 3 games. But obviously, we have a lot of improvement to make moving forward.
Joe, over the course of your career, what has set you up along your journey for this moment?
Yeah, good question. I think just relationships that I've been able to build over the course of 21 years in the National Football League, being able not being able to really be a big part of a head coaching search, but have been able to tap into mentors that have been able to run a search and really leaning on them for guidance and advice and having some great conversations. So I feel good about our process. I feel good about the candidates, the names we've acquired, and right now we're ready to start this process and ready to learn about these guys and get to know them and their philosophies and really excited about it.
We talked about that a lot over the years, but can you trace back and speak to those mentors as far as what they've done? No, actually, I'm going to reword that. We talked about it a lot over the years, but you just mentioned your mentors. Are there lessons that you're taking from them right now as you begin the search?
Yeah, there are. It's there's a lot of good people out there that I've had a chance to work with over the years, and so you try to stick to your strengths. And for me, 21 years in the league in the personnel department. One of those strengths is the draft process and everything that goes into that and every evaluation of a player. And so you think about the critical factors and the position specifics. And so really correlating that in terms of acquiring a player, now you're what are the critical factors and position specifics that we're really looking for in a head coach in the New York Jets. And so, we've had a chance to really dive into that with Jaime and Christopher and talk about what we need moving forward. And I feel like we have a great plan.
Christopher said it's going to be a broad and deep search, but time will be of the essence. There's a lot of openings in the National Football League. So how do you balance being thorough while moving quickly at the same time?
Yeah, that is a balancing act because there's a lot of urgency in this league and a lot of competition. So I feel like for our part, we're going to let this process dictate our decision and not a date on the calendar. And so we are going to be thorough. And so I think that's the most important thing for us, to be thorough but urgent. And so fortunately there's a lot of good people in this organization that are helping us in terms of the logistics, in terms of gathering information, and I feel like we're ready to start our process.
Some of these candidates are going to have multiple suitors. What are you going to tell them about your vision for this organization?
Yeah, I think when I talk about vision, and of course, my vision is important, but I want to know about what the head coach's vision is going to be. When I talk about vision, of what the head coach and what the team's going to look like, I feel like I've been pretty clear up front about what I think wins in the National Football League, and that's strong offense and defensive lines. And then you have to have a great quarterback. And so, like I said before, quarterback's one of the most important positions in all of pro sports. So, just diving in, rolling up the sleeves, talking ball with a coaching candidate, very, very excited just to learn about their vision and their philosophy. And I'm sure we're all going to learn some really new and intriguing things.
Will you talk to coaches with both offensive and defensive backgrounds, and also coaches that are in the pros and at the college ranks as well?
Right. We're going to cast a wide net. I feel like we have the right criteria and what we're looking for. And if there's a coach in college that fits that criteria, we're looking forward to talking to him.
Do you think it also is a balance as far as finding that right coach, but also finding the guy who is the right fit for the New York Jets organization?
Correct. Absolutely, Eric. There has to be a fit and alignment, and then the vision. There needs to be alignment in the vision, and so that's a big thing that you touched on, because ultimately, we're looking for the right partner to really springboard this organization for many years to come. And so, like I said, just can't wait to get going. I feel like we're going to find the right guy with the right leadership traits, right communication, ability to connect and engage with players, with staff. And so we're excited to get this process going.
You've always approached this thing with humility, and like you just mentioned, 21 years on the job already, 2 years almost on the job as GM of the New York Jets. What are some of the most significant lessons you've learned over the course of the 2 seasons here with the Green and White?
Yeah, I would say I've learned that relationships matter. It's important. It's important to connect and engage with everyone in the building. And definitely learn that people are the most important thing, and so the best organizations have the best people. They have the right stability, and really that's what we're trying to create here, a culture where different ideas come together, and we can create one vision of the team. And there's going to be great collaboration, and we can create the right kind of culture that can sustain success for hopefully a decade.
Do you think the foundation is already being laid here with some of your young players? Do you think there are some core pieces that you can build upon right now?
Absolutely. I think we're excited about the young players in this draft. I think we're excited about the guys like Quinnen Williams, who had a great year, Mekhi Becton. Excited about him, and Denzel Mims. We're excited about quite a few guys, and so I think when you look around, you see the young guys on our team. You see the draft capital that we have moving forward. You see that we're in pretty good financial standing moving forward. There's a lot of opportunity here, and there are pieces. So I think what we need is the right kind of leader, the right kind of person to really help build this the right way.
How enticing is it, the draft capital? You just mentioned you got the number 2 overall selection in April's draft. You have 2 first-round picks. You have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, 6 picks in the top 100 overall.
It's exciting. Having this kind of draft capital, I feel great about our college staff. I feel great about the work they've put in, and I know we're going to be ready when the draft starts. We've got a lot of time, a lot of decisions to make before then, but we feel the urgency to get these decisions right. And so while we feel good about last year's class, that's not going to guarantee that we're going to have success in this year's class. So we just have to make sure that we go through that same process. We get together, we dive into every character profile of every player, and we find the right fit for us. And it's important to do that. We're gonna get with a new coach and a new staff, get on the same page for the blueprint, that he's looking to build with this team, and make sure that we lock arms and do this together.
The draft capital is huge. There's no doubt about that. But I think you're going to say that the development is just as big. So when you're searching for that head coach, you got to be thinking, hey, who's going to help develop a lot of this young core? Because Christopher said it the other day that you guys are a young team, but you're going to get even younger.
Right. That's a great point, Eric. And that's going to be a big part of that coach's vision and plan. Not only what does he want the identity of this team to look like, and what his plan is to get to that identity, but what is your plan to develop these young players? Because, like you said, we had so many young players, whether they were draft picks, undrafted free agents. We have 9 picks plus the undrafted free agents that we're going to sign after this year's draft, and then the year after that we have just as many picks. So there's going to be a big influx of young and hungry talent, and we're going to need the right teachers, the right motivators to get them ready and turn them into good professional football players.
Is it fair to say you can't buy success in the National Football League? You talked about the cap flexibility. I know that you're encouraged by that, and that's definitely an asset as you move forward. But you've constantly talked about, hey, listen, we have to draft and develop guys in-house. And free agency, yes, we're going to get pieces on the outside from time to time, but you're not going to buy yourself into a build.
Right. I think, like I said earlier, we're in pretty good financial health right now in terms of cap space, and the goal is to stay in good financial health moving forward. But I'm of the belief that for us to get to where we need to go, for us to sustain the success moving forward, it's going to be about drafting and developing players, and then to use that cap space to retain those players. So I think that's a long-term plan and long-term goal of what we're trying to do. And last year's draft, this upcoming year's draft, and then the draft after that are going to be huge for us.
Where do you think Sam Darnold is at after year 3? And then how do you view overall the quarterback position on this team?
Yeah, I think Sam faced a lot of obstacles this year. Some of which he could control, some of which he couldn't control. And so I think that for him, I think not having different offensive linemen in front of him quite often during the season, not having his top 3 wide receivers until week 9 of the season, not being able to build that chemistry that you need for sustained success throughout a year. I think that was certainly less than ideal. But I still feel that Sam is a quality player in this league, and we're still talking about a 23-year-old young man that's going into his 3rd head coach. Again, another less than ideal situation. So he's faced a lot of obstacles. I do think that he is a good quarterback. I think there's many chapters left in Sam Darnold's book that are left to be written, and I think that he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. I think the overall quarterback room, we're excited about James Morgan. I think we're excited about Mike White. Those are 2 young guys that we didn't get to see in the preseason because there was no preseason games, but guys that developed. Mike White we acquired and was a practice squad player for us last year. That's really developed over the last year and a half. And James made really good strides throughout the year. Really looking forward to getting those 2 guys in a great competition next preseason, and hopefully get them out on the field in live games and preseason games.
Finally, Joe, you've been so gracious with your time as always. What kind of message do you have for this fan base as you enter this critical stage where you're looking for a partner, like you talked about, a new head coach as the Jets enter this 2021 offseason?
Yeah, I think I would echo what Christopher said yesterday when he talked to the media. We're tired of losing. We know we need to be better, and our most important goal right now is to find the right person and the right leader that can lead this football team to where it needs to be. And so that's our message, is that we know we need to be better, and we are going to be better. And it starts with this decision moving forward. And we have a lot of decisions after that we have to get right, but we're focused on this one.
Great stuff from Joe Douglas, as always. And throughout this whole head coaching search, EA and I will be bringing you all the information on each head coaching candidate that completes an interview with the Jets. And then, of course, whoever the Jets do, in fact, hire. And it doesn't stop there. We go the entire offseason. We got draft coverage. Do not stop listening to the official Jets podcast, powered by AWS.